Hello, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy. I am here with my husband, Noel. He is the other half of Zoe's Treasures. He is behind the scenes. He runs all of our cameras and does all of our graphics. Tonight, we are doing just a tax chat show. I'll be on for about an hour, and mainly just to answer any questions that you may have about taxes, accounting, anything that has to do with the financial side of running a business. I am, for those of you who do not know me, I am a CPA, a licensed CPA in 2 different states. I am also a reseller on the app, so I am very familiar with the reselling environment and kind of the financial side of that. Hello, Sunny Z Vintage. So I have some expertise in what I bring to you, and with that, we'll just jump right into it. I'll kind of just hang out and wait. Hello, Forgotten Memories. Moon Vintage. Hello. Hey, Southern Charm. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, pop them in the chat. Thank you so much. And then we'll just go from there. I'll see what I can answer. And in the meantime, it's always going to be a great evening. In the meantime, I will, where do you take the credit for Cobra Healthcare? That should be on your, you take your healthcare credits on your 1040 for Cobra Healthcare. There are some credits usually for self-employed people, but that's only if you're paying for it through a organized business. But your Cobra Healthcare will come off of your 1040. So there is a spot there that you can deduct health insurance premiums, or a certain portion of. There's certain limits to everything. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep watching for questions. But last week I thought we would start something new. And is it true you can use your receipts from auction purchases? Yes, it is. Very true. So if you're buying those auction purchases for your business, like you want to resell it, or it's something you will use in your business, like a riser or something along those lines, you can just save your receipts, log them into your accounting records, and that is a legitimate business expense. So both for the bookkeeping and the tax side. Thank you for sharing the show. I appreciate it. So last week I started something with this. I thought, okay, well, while we're kind of waiting for questions, we'll walk through a Schedule C. We'll start kind of looking at the different sections. So this week I was going to look at the income section. We looked at the very top section last week, kind of the basic information. This week I thought we would take a little time to just dive into the income section. Let's see, even if they are random purchase receipts. Oh, like it says like random item number, whatever. Yes, that's fine. What you should be doing when you're doing your bookkeeping, you should have a spot. So any expense that you have for your business, there's some basic information you need to record. The date you purchased that item, so whatever the date was, who you bought it from, and it doesn't have to be the exact seller. You could just put whatnot. You don't have to get down to the seller level. So the date, where you bought it, a brief description of what you bought, very brief. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be paragraphs. It could just be, supplies for the business, inventory, paper. It could be very brief. And the amount you paid for it, those are probably the most important things. Oh, sorry. And one more thing, the category that it would fall into. So how would you classify that under business? Was it for shipping? Was it for supplies? Was it for inventory? So those are the pieces of information you should be recording as you go. So daily, weekly, monthly, whatever you have set for your accounting time frame. So record that information. And then if you're printing receipts, you may just want to jot it down on the receipt so you know what receipt goes to what accounting entry. What if I purchase my items in cash? How can I claim it as my inventory? So Sunny Z, that's very good question. And that happens a lot when we go to like estate sales or garage sales. And we're just, usually when we go do something like that, we take out whatever amount of money in cash, and they don't usually give us a receipt. So what you should be doing is keeping your own records as detailed as possible. I suggest keeping like a little, either like a notepad like this or a smaller little notepad that you can put in your glove box or carry with you in your car so you have it when you go to these places. And then you just need to write those same pieces of information that I just talked about. So you could put garage sale. What I would add to that is maybe the city the garage sale was in, if that was a scenario. Whatnot has charged for taxes pertaining to small business. Oh, I'm sorry. What has changed for taxes pertaining to small business in 2026 and moving forward? So some of the things that have changed, let me think. There's not a ton that has changed. Some of the big changes this year was the 1099 limit. So that changed on when Whatnot has to send you a 1099. That was a big significant change in the middle of the year. There's other changes, not necessarily to your Schedule C, but to 1040s, to your personal tax return. There's a new credit for your interest on vehicles. If you bought a brand new vehicle this year and you make under a certain amount of money, you can deduct some of the interest on that. That's new this year. What is the limit for the 1099? So Whatnot is required to send you or make available to you a 1099 if you had $20,000 in sales and 200 transactions. That's the limit that the IRS says, hey, Whatnot, you have to make this 1099 available and also report it to the IRS. Now, some states require less. They have a lower threshold on some states. Whatnot may choose either because state law sends you one if you made less than the IRS requirement, or they have the option up to that 20,000 to send one or not send one. So under 20,000, it's Whatnot's option whether they send you that. Over 20,000 or right at that limit, they are required to. They no longer have the choice on whether they provide that to you. And that kind of goes right in line with talking a little bit. You're very welcome. Thank you for asking questions. It's so much better to answer questions than to just ramble about whatever. But that's a good question that leads into the income. And we're going to talk about income. You may get 1099s from multiple people. If you're selling on multiple websites or different platforms, Whatnot can send you one, maybe Poshmark or Etsy or one of those other platforms. So you may end up with more than one 1099, and that's okay. So when you get that 1099, what your job is with that is, one, you're going to look at that 1099 and you're going to match it up to your accounting records. So before you even get that form, you should know how much money to expect. You should know exactly how much money you made from Whatnot. And keep in mind that 1099 reports gross sales. So that's before fees and shipping expenses. It's gross. So you should already know what that number is. So you take your accounting records, you look at what Whatnot has, and long as they're fairly close, there may be a discrepancy or two because, hey, maybe you forgot to record something, or, if it's fairly close, I don't worry about it. It's okay. Now, if there's a large discrepancy, that's when you need to reconcile and talk to Whatnot. The 1099 I received for a booth rent has the rent already deducted from the gross amount. The 1099, that's a little odd. I received for a booth rent. That's a little odd, but I don't know why they would have done it that way. I probably wouldn't have done it that way because those are fees that you record separately. It always is supposed to be gross. It is, that's odd. I mean, not being able to see it myself or see how they've done their records, I can't say, oh, it's totally wrong, but it's not sitting well. It doesn't sound correct. Like red flags are going off. However, if that 1099 matches your records, then I wouldn't worry about it. Because look, as resellers, or as anybody who gets a 1099, we get all hung up on these forms. We're like, when do I get it? How do I get it? When do I file my tax? And we get so hung up on these 1099s. It's just a piece of paper. It matches then you're fine. Then don't worry. Then you're okay. I won't worry about it. Long as you know that it reconciles with what you have. But we get so caught up on this piece of paper. All it is a piece of paper. All it is that these platforms have to comply with the IRS and report this income. It really doesn't matter. In the big scheme of things for you as a taxpayer, for you as a reseller, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you have to be keeping your records and reporting all of your income. Now, where it does start to matter is if you choose not to report your income or to report far less than what was reported by these platforms, then you can get into some trouble with that. So that's where it really matters. But if you're on the up and up and you're reporting everything, the 1099 really isn't a big deal. It really isn't. It's just a matter of record keeping. You get it, it matches, okay. And then you transfer the Whatnot's going to say, the IRS, when you're doing your tax return, is going to say, hey, did you receive a 1099 from anybody? And if you're using TurboTax or any of those type of softwares, you check that little box that says yes, and it's going to say enter that information here. Why? Because it'll go with your electronic return, matches up to the IRS. The IRS checks the box that says, okay, this person reported their income, they're good. What happens on the back end is if you don't report the 1099, if you just put your income on Schedule C, you say, hey, I know what my income is, I'm going to be honest, and you're including everything, you're being an honest taxpayer, but you don't say that you got that 1099, the IRS is going to be sitting there because it's all computerized, right? It's just checks and balances in the computer. The computer at the IRS is going to say, oh, wait, Whatnot reported the 1099, but I don't see this taxpayer reporting it on theirs. So then you would get a letter from the IRS saying, what's up with this? Why didn't you tell me about this 1099? Then you have to waste your time and say, oh, I included it in my income. I just didn't tell you it was a 1099. So it's just really a matter of like a paper trail. It's not super significant and something to be scared about or worried about, if that makes sense. I did forget to say at the beginning, I do want to tell you guys, we have some stuff in the bin if you're interested, and we do coupon codes, or these are our rewards codes. Today, if you take number 5 and number 4 and you put those codes together, if you have these cards, if you have these cards, these go out every time we send a box, we put a card in there. They are worth $5 together. So there's coupon codes on the back, and every show we do different combination of numbers. So you have a chance of having five free dollars with every show. So if you have that, those are there. I love discounts. I'm so proud of you, and you still have them because you always tell me that you throw them away.
I'm going to send you a frame so you can frame them.
So before we go on, I'll let you guys think about any other questions you have. I am going to give myself a plug for the Ledger to Leadership. That's what's showing behind me here on our screen. This is an accounting course that I have written, designed. It's a 12-week accounting course for people on Whatnot. So it's going to start March 2nd. What's that, next week? Are we a week and a half? We're very close. It's going to start March 2nd. It's a Monday night. It's going to run from 6:30 for about an hour, hour and a half. I'm so glad you're excited. I'm excited about it too. So it's going to run for about an hour, hour and a half every Monday. And in it, what I'm going to do is take you from the very first, like the basic, what is the accounting equation? What do debits and credits mean? How are you supposed to record this? How do you account for your inventory? We're going to go through all the various steps. We're going to create an income statement, a balance sheet, and then we're going to look at those and figure out, okay, now that we have these financial records, what do I do with them? Why are they important to my business? How do I use those to make really good CEO level decisions? And we're going to do that over the course of 12 weeks. So in the bin, well, first off, before I even get there, the show is completely free. It's going to be on Whatnot and streamed to YouTube. So if you miss it, you can always go to YouTube and watch it. You don't have to spend any money. You don't need to buy anything. You can come with a pen and paper because we will be doing like actual exercises with numbers throughout the time we're together. However, if you like a book to follow, I do have a book. It is in the bin. There's also a PDF version. It looks like this if you're interested. It is called The Ledger to Leadership. It is a 158-page book, and you can see there's a tab for every week. Every week we go through, you get some base notes. This is your main source of like the content that we're going to go over. And then we have actual Whatnot, real Whatnot examples. We have exercises we're going to walk through every single week, more exercises. And then every week we also have a worksheet that helps you in your business. You can pull that out. You can make copies. It's something you can use over and over. And at the end, we have a CEO check-in. This is some questions to help reflect on what that content was that week, how it applies to your business. And that's the format it follows week after week. So if you have the book or the PDF, you'll kind of be like, you'll know, hey, this week we're talking about this, then we're going to talk about that. It kind of gives you a way to follow along. So if you're interested, those are in the bin. But again, I don't want to preclude anybody from coming and learning how to keep their books and understand their financials. So just to be there on Whatnot, it's free to jump into a show. So go ahead and check those out if you're interested in learning how to keep your books really well. And you can bookmark them. I have all 12 weeks already scheduled out.
If you purchase anything in terms of electronic assets, any PDFs, do us a favor, send us a DM with your email address so we can send them to you as soon as possible.
And then I just started a giveaway too. Our giveaways today, oh, do I have just one? I do. So today are CEO affirmation cards. I do a business and talk show every Friday morning at 7 a.m. That is also streamed to YouTube that's a little too early. I know for some people that's quite early, especially those of you on the West Coast. But in there, we talk a lot about going from a reseller to a CEO mindset. What does it take to move up, to really level up your thinking? We've been focusing on changing our thinking patterns for this quarter. Next quarter, we're going to be focusing on growth and goals. So part of that, I end every show with a CEO affirmation. And that's okay, honey. I'm just going to do this. I end every show with the CEO affirmation, and we have a deck of cards that have those affirmations on there. So you get one of those cards for your giveaway. If you're the type of person who likes all of them, you're like, heck, I don't want to wait for no giveaway. I want the whole deck. Those are also in the bin, all 52 CEO affirmations. And that's as much selling as I'm going to do. I just got to mention it. But that's what's running for your giveaway right now. Let's go ahead until I see more questions. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Questions about your 1040, your Schedule C, accounting. What do I do with my inventory? How do I account for my inventory? What do I do with my 1099s, expenses, home office, any of that? I'm always happy to try and answer you. If for some reason I do not have an answer, I will look it up and get back with you. But while we're waiting, while I'm kind of seeing if anybody has questions, let's take a look at a Schedule C. Let's just talk about the income section of a Schedule C. All right. And, oh, you got it up there for me. Thank you. I thought I was going to have to do my computer here. All right. So last week, scroll to the very top really quick. I'm sorry, my love. Last week, we talked about that first section. So we went through lines A through J last week. Now we're going to look at part 1, income. We're going to just talk about this. So there's only 7 lines here, and almost half of those lines are like formulas or as math to do. So line 1, this is where you're going to put in how much money you made in your business. So whatever Schedule C you're filing this for. Now, if you're doing this for your reselling, you would combine all of your 1099s, like I said before, for your income. But if you have a reselling business and maybe you're also an Uber driver, those are 2 totally separate businesses. You would have 2 totally separate Schedule Cs. So your reselling income would only go on your reselling Schedule C, and your Uber income would only go on your Uber Schedule C. So let's pretend that we're looking at a reselling Schedule C. That's what we're going to talk about. So line 1 says gross receipts or sales. And then it gives you some clarifying information. Can you kind of scroll over so I can read that whole line? It says see instructions for line 1. Now, when it mentions the instructions, you can go to www.irs.gov, then in their little search bar, type in Schedule C, and this form, along with their whole book of instructions, is readily available to you for free, and it'll take you line by line by line by line and explain to you, and it gives you charts and tables and graphs. Now, it's not the most interesting reading in the world, but I feel that most of us are smart enough to be able to fill this out with just a little bit of guidance. So that anytime it says see instructions, you kind of want to perk your ears up a bit and say, maybe I should read it because there might be something special they're trying to tell me there. But all line 1 is you take all those 1099s, you add them together, and you're going to put them in the box right there to the right. Right there. You're just going to put the number in the box. Now, nowadays, most people are not filling out this Schedule C with pen and paper. That's kind of old school, right? You're probably using a TurboTax, Tax Act, Free Tax USA, or one of the other multitude of software that's out there. And that makes it even easier because what's going to happen, it's going to say, did you get any 1099s? And you click yes. And it's going to say, okay, enter it here. Pen, pencil. Now, hey, I still like a good paper form. I'm old school. Look, I am very type A. Side note here, we're going to give you a little Tracy story. I went and I got my master's in taxation. So I got my master's degree in tax. And one of the things I loved about tax is that I'm very type A. And I love that there's a form and there's boxes and it's nice and neat. And you just fill out these. Man, that just spoke to me. Totally spoke to me that it was just all nice and pretty and neat in boxes. And that's why I was drawn to tax. Moonlit Vintage, congratulations. You're getting that first giveaway.
Congratulations.
All right, let's go back to that Schedule C and let's look at the next line on there. So the income side's easy. You just add it all up. Now, if you didn't get a 1099, what do? Look at your accounting records and you add it up. You've been keeping track. Thank you so much, good stuff. So if you didn't get the 1099, you're keeping your records, hopefully, and you add it all up and you put it in there. Now, once we're done talking about income, we'll talk a little bit about, well, what happens if you didn't keep the records? So let's look at line 2. Line 2 is returns and allowances. Throw something in the chat if you're a seller and somebody's ever either returned or you had to refund somebody some money. I have. Yep. It's happened to all of us. And if it hasn't, it probably will sometime in your reselling career. So we should be keeping track of all of that too. That number goes right there on line 2 because your 1099 is gross. Your 1099 still thinks you made that sale, that gross number. It doesn't know that it was refunded. It's not included in that number. So we need to tell the IRS, hey, Whatnot said I made a $20 sale, but it broke. I had to refund the person the money. And that's where we put it, under returns and allowances. And we don't do a minus. If you scroll all the way over, we just put the number in there. So we're not worried about pluses or minuses subtracting from income right now. The IRS always lays the forms out where we follow their math. So just trust me, put it in there as just a regular number, no parentheses, no minus sign. Because if we go to line 3, that's where we're going to follow the IRS math. It says subtract line 2 from line 1. So basically it says, okay, you had to return this stuff. What was your real income? How much did you really make because you made all these returns? And so that's line 3. Then we get to the biggie. Then we get to the one that really confused somebody. Thank you so much for your purchase from the bin. We get to line 4, cost of goods sold. Now, I'm not going to dig into that today. We're going to show you where it is, but we're going to talk about that one because that's a whole hour in itself. So we're going to talk about that in an upcoming show. But let's scroll to page 2 on here just so we can see where this is coming from. Right there. So it's on page 2. Scroll down a bit. So it's the very first section you get on page 2. There's a whole section just to figure out how much was the stuff, how much did the stuff cost that you sold to people. That's all that whole section is. So again, we're going to talk about that in a future show. But once you fill this part of the form out, that line 42 down there, the end product. Now if we go back up to our income section, our line 3 tells us right there, our line 4, sorry, cost of goods from line 42. And that's what it means. It means what you figured out under cost of goods. So we're just going to put in whatever we figured out. Basically what it comes down to is what you paid for the goods you sold. There's 2 different ways to account for your cost of goods. We'll talk about that in a future show, but it's either cash or accrual. So you follow all the rules, you fill that section out, and the number goes there. Then line 5, we're going to do another math problem. It says subtract line 4 from line 3. So now we're getting into our net profit, our net operating profit. So we had our gross receipts, we minused our refunds. Now we're going to subtract out what all that stuff cost us to sell. Now we're getting down to some true profit, right? Now we're starting to see kind of where we're at as far as income, right? Then they get you. Then the IRS comes back and says, wait a minute, other income, you're not going to slip by us. We want to know everything that came into your business. So this is, like it says here, you can get fuel credits, certain state credits. So there's certain types of money back you may have received. Maybe you got maybe you had some money coming from the state. There could be interest, if you got interest back. Any other money, anything else that we didn't include in line 1, the IRS is saying, make sure you put it here, right? Because they want to know every single penny so they get all of their tax dollars. And they're going to look at this, 2 lines. They're like, tell me what you made, tell me what you made. So that's where you put all other income. Then we get to line 7, the final math problem. And like I said at the beginning, half of your income section is just math, just formulas. So line 7 says gross income. You're going to add line 5, that was our gross, and all that other income till we get to our gross operating, or it's our net operating income at that point. And that's it. That's all there is to the income section. So if you scroll over and you look at that, it's okay. It's all right. Who's going to win that giveaway? Trisha, Treasures, Vintage, and More. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. So that's all there is to it. You're just accumulating all the income. You're going to subtract out any money that you had to refund to people, and you're going to take out your cost of goods and add back in any extra income you might have gotten. And if you didn't get any, then it's great. You can just put a zero or skip that line. And now you have the income, the number that the IRS is going to say, all right, that's your income. After that, we get to expenses. We can start taking expenses. Now, we're going to go over expenses at a later week. I kind of space this out. So every week we're looking at one section. And if you follow along week to week, we will wrap up about a week before taxes are due. So you can just kind of like hang out once a week, fill out one section at a time, think about it, make sure it's right, and have your tax return filed on time. But it is really as easy as that. A lot of people stress over their Schedule C. They stress over their taxes, and it's really not that like super, super difficult, particularly if you don't have a lot going on. If you're just, your average Joe, maybe you own your home, you maybe have a W-2 job and you have this. It may sound confusing because you're getting all these different pieces of paper and you're like, well, where do I put them? What form do I file them on? But there's really a lot of logic to it, and it walks you through it pretty simply, particularly if you're using one of those softwares. Now, if you're like, heck with that, I ain't doing this. Somebody else could figure all this out for me. That's okay too. But at least you know what's happening. At least you understand when you look at your Schedule C and you look at that income and you're like, Mr. Tax Preparer, I know I had 3 1099s and they totaled $30,000. Why do you have my income at $60,000? So at the end of the day, your tax return, your signature goes on it, right? And the IRS can care less what software you used, what CPA prepared it for you, or what tax preparer prepared it for you. They don't care. It's your signature, your tax return, and you are responsible for it 100%. So if anything's wrong in that tax return, guess who the IRS is going to come after? You. So your job, even if you don't want to do your own taxes, which is totally fine, is to at least understand it and have a base knowledge to look at what somebody's done for you and say, you know what? Yeah, this makes sense. There's nothing I'm reading here that throws up red flags. It's no different than anytime you have to read a legal document, right? I'm not an attorney, but I have to read a lot of legal documents when I buy a car, when you buy your house, for other just normal life transactions. I still have to read them and understand it because my signature goes on it and I have to agree to those terms. That's basically the same thing with your tax return. Now, if you hire a CPA or you hire H&R Block to do your tax return or pay anybody else, you pay them to do your return, and they screw it up royally and you sign it and you send it in and the IRS sends you a letter and you get audited and now you have fees and all this stuff going on. Yes, you're still responsible, but there is penalties and there is ways that the other people do get in trouble for messing it up if they've messed up because they have an obligation to you and an obligation to the IRS. So I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, then why am I hiring somebody? You're hiring somebody for their expertise and knowledge, and so you don't have the hassle of it, right? All right, I feel like I've talked a lot. Do we have any questions? Anything about taxes that you're just like, I'm a little nervous? Is everybody ready? Are you all like, yay, tax season, we're ready? All right, I like to see we're ready. I like to see that. Now, one of the things I don't hear people talk about that often, we don't have a giveaway going. Let me do another giveaway. One of the things that I don't hear people talk about that often is April 15th comes. We all know April 15th is tax day. Your tax return's due by then, unless it's a Saturday or Sunday. Then they push it to the next day. Sometimes if there's like You're in an area of a natural disaster, you may get a little bit of free time to do it a little bit longer. But our YouTube is Zoe's Treasures. So same name. Would you throw that up on the screen, honey? Same name as our Whatnot. Right there, you can find all of our shows. Well, let me say 99% of our shows are on YouTube also, so you can always go back and rewatch for free. Any of my chat shows do not require a purchase to rewatch because we will multicast to YouTube for that. So come April 15th, and sometimes people are like, you know what, time got away from me. I didn't get none of my stuff done. Or you're like, now you're in the middle of February and you're like trying to find a CPA, and all the CPAs are kind of laughing at you like, buddy, you should have called me 3 months ago. I'm a little busy right now. And so they may tell you, yes, we can file, but we can't file till after the deadline. That's okay too. It's okay to file after the deadline, as long as you file your extension. And with your extension, if you owe any money, you need to pay it at that time. I actually saw that question on Facebook. Somebody was asking another question in one of the Whatnot Facebook groups. And they were asking a question about filing taxes or something. And somebody else replied. They're like, oh, just file an extension and you're good. To some degree, you could file an extension. Extensions aren't red flags. They're not signs to say, hey, audit me. A lot of people file extensions as a very normal part of the IRS tax processing process. But you will get in trouble if you don't send in money that you owe. So that takes us to estimated taxes and paying your withholding, what you owe the IRS. So as we go through our year, so all of now looking forward as we're going through 2026, every quarter, you should pretty much know how much money you made, what were your expenses, what is the net at the end of the day, what is the net profit that you are going to owe tax on. And then not only should you know that for the first quarter, you should be able to project that out for the rest of the year and say, I think my tax liability is going to exceed what it did last year. I need to send the IRS some money right now, every quarter for estimated taxes. Or you look at this, you look at what has happened, you project what's going to happen, and you say, no, I think I'm good. I'm paying it enough. I'm not going to owe, any more liability than I did last year. I'm good. I don't need to send more money. It's better to know that throughout the year than to get right now and realize, oh, shoot, I made a lot more money than I thought. I didn't send anything in. Now I've got to write a big old fat check I wasn't prepared for. And not only that, because I owe them so much, they're going to charge me fees and penalties because I didn't pay it when I should have paid it, right? So a lot of people think that you do bookkeeping just for taxes. And that's not really true. You do bookkeeping to do bookkeeping. You do bookkeeping because that's part of being a responsible business, and it's part of your journey. It's where you have been. Think about your life. Now, if you come to any of my Friday talk shows, I try to do analogies all the time just to make things more real. So think about your life. Think about the places you've lived, your experiences growing up, where you went to high school, if you went to college, where you went to college, the jobs that you have. All of this is a story about your life, right? That kind of makes you who you are today. Your financial records for your business is your business's story. From day one, from the minute of inception in that business, through the ups and downs, through the startup, through the struggles, through the good times, to get to see the success where you are now, your financial records are that story. Doing your bookkeeping monthly helps you know if you need to pivot because exactly, Crystal's, and Crystal's a bookkeeper. She knows this. She's like on it. That tells your whole story. And then not only that, if you know where you've been, you can use that information to help where you're going to go in the future. And that's vital to your business. So you have the whole bookkeeping side, your story and your goals and your projections on where you're going. That's the first step. That's the meat. That's what everybody should be focused on. And it's so funny because 9 out of 10 people, Chili Pepper Peach, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. 9 out of 10 people are going to be like, Oh yeah, I'll keep my receipts for taxes. Oh yeah, this for taxes, or this, make sure I get my 1099, or do this for taxes. And their whole financial approach is surrounded around April 15th and filing one form. And that's just one form. That's nothing. Like, what's more important is the bookkeeping side of it. That bookkeeping, now ultimately, we get to the end of the year. You've been doing what you're supposed to all year long. Taxes are a breeze. Taxes are like, psh, I'm just filling out this form. I've already done all the hard work all year long. And that's kind of my goal with what I'm doing here on Whatnot. I mean, I love my vintage decor, selling jewelry, but my heart is really on shows like this, my business and talk shows on Friday mornings, and then this new accounting show coming up. That's what gets me excited, because I would love a year from now to anybody who's stressed out on tax season to be sitting, in their seats next year saying, no, I changed what I'm doing. I'm keeping my bookkeeping. I feel I'm secure. Taxes don't worry me. And I know I'm not going to change a whole Whatnot world, but if I can just influence a little corner of it, I'd be thrilled. So that's kind of why I'm here and why I keep blabbing about accounting and taxes. And that is actually a big part of my business focus this year, is increasing. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Fair Maiden. That is part of why I'm increasing such a focus this year on tax and accounting. So we've talked about, he took it down, but we talked about Ledger to Leadership, which is the accounting course coming up. That's going to be for 12 weeks. After that, we're going to lead in, there it goes right there. We're going to lead, and that's exactly what the thumbnail looks like if you want to bookmark it in my shows. After that 12 weeks, I'm going to take about a 2-week break, and we're going to lead into a whole nother series. I think I'm going to do an 8-week series. I asked my chat in the show the other day, what are things that you would like to learn about? Tell me what in the business side, business realm, not like how to do things on Whatnot, but accounting, tax, business focus. What is it you want to learn about? And the one that stuck out to me that kind of resonated with me and I kind of got a little excited about is time blocking and time management. We all should have some knowledge, even if we don't do them. Me personally need to know exactly, absolutely good stuff. And you know what? Okay, think about my whole thing here is going from a reseller to a CEO mindset. I think I even have it on right there. Accounting for reseller CEOs is thinking like a CEO, Chief Executive Officer. And I've worked in my career, I have worked with a lot of CEOs, a lot of CFOs and COOs, so all the C-suite employees. I've done years as a tax professional. I was a CFO in a nonprofit for many, many years. And I've done worked as an auditor at a large global firm. And you go in and you talk to these people, right? And you know what the one common thing is about CEOs? They're not always the smartest person in the room. But what they do is surround themselves with people who have expertise. And they know a little bit. They know just enough to ask the right questions, to look at the information and synthesize the information and analyze it. That's what makes CEOs so great. If they had to know everything, they would be pulled in so many directions, they wouldn't be good at any of it. So a good CEO knows how to gather information, having the right people around them, whether it's an accountant or it may be an attorney or it could be a mentor on Whatnot. It's having those people around you that have an expertise in something and forming those relationships and being able to ask them those questions and then taking all that information and thinking it through and putting all those little pieces into one full picture and leading through that picture. That's all the CEO does. It's not really complicated. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. That's my goal. I'm so glad to hear that. So it's not anything more than some basic knowledge. My expertise is in one area. And I was thinking about this the other day, trying to kind of come up with an analogy that I see. There's other chat shows on here that talk about bookkeeping and taxes. And I'm not saying they're all bad. There's some very good ones. And there's some that are giving a lot of misinformation, just like anywhere, right? And I kind of equate it to, if you were to ask me some question about, tell me about breeding basset hounds. I don't own a basset hound. I don't even own a dog. I could spout out anything. I could be like, oh, well, make sure you have a good boy dog and a good girl dog and, give them a comfy place. And I could spout any information. I don't know the first thing about it. But if it was my job to know, what would I do? Go find somebody who breeds basset hounds and ask questions, right? Same thing with taxes. Same thing with anything you're doing.
Forgotten memories. The production one, which is going to be the interesting one for tomorrow, because she gave me a challenge. We're moving and we're doing a kind of like a remote studio. So I'm going to have a roving camera for you, and it's going to be interesting. Very interesting.
So a little off topic, but we are trying something totally brand new for our vintage show tomorrow evening at 6:00, if anybody's interested in checking it out. So normally this is our studio. I normally have behind me, right now is a green screen, but I usually have shelves and I put my products there and I stand here and I sell.
I'll give you a peek.
Oh, you're going to go and show. What are you doing? It's black. Oh, that's our green screen. Yes. So anyways, tomorrow I have cleared out my dining room, which is upstairs from our studio, cleared out the whole dining room of all of my personal stuff. The only thing that's left is the furniture and things that are like bolted to the wall, right? Or ceiling. So I've cleaned it all out and I have replaced the whole dining room, all the contents of the china cabinet, like shelving that I have, art on the walls. The whole table is set and it is set and ready for all of you to come and shop. So you can come and hang out in my dining room. I don't want to call it a scan show because it is not a scan show. It is a styled collection show. So instead of just seeing an item here like, hey, you guys, I got a Yeti cup today. This is a really cool teal Yeti cup. Oh, it holds so much water. Great to refill, stays nice and cold. So instead of doing this, you actually get to see the Yeti cup styled with all the accessories, how it's going to look in a real live environment. So it's going to be kind of fun. But I'm not selling Yeti cups. We're selling vintage decor. So the style collection, you get to actually picture how it would look styled and then imagine it in your home. And we're going to move around the room and we're just going to go boom, boom, boom and start selling off everything, picking something from the table and selling it. And that's how it's going to work. So I get the fun part of I have my little rolling computer stand so I can run items. But my husband has to, he has a whole getup with the camera like attached to him and moving around so he can get all the shots and bring all the cool graphics and everything that we do from a completely different location than our studio. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a challenge. We've never done this. And I am unsure if I'm going to do it again. I'm on the fence. I'm going to see how it goes. Here's the deal with this. And I know this is off topic, but if you have any questions, I will stop talking about this and answer the questions. What's kind of cool, one, it's a completely different environment. And, we're going for a different type of entertainment factor besides just selling in a studio. But I had to clear out all my personal stuff. It is upstairs. All my inventory is down here. We had to carry up all the inventory. We had to style it. And then after the show, we got to carry it all back down to pack it because we pack down here. Our shipping station is in the basement. And then once it's packed, I got to carry the boxes all the way upstairs. So I've created quite a bit of work. I'll get my steps in. I'll get a lot of stairs over the next couple of days. Thank you so much for Forgotten Memories. So I'm excited about it. I think if it goes well tomorrow, I may try it again, maybe every couple of months, just because it is labor intensive.
Yes,
she
always likes to keep it fresh. And there's a little preview if you go to the show.
Yeah, if you go to the show, the room is 95% styled. I just had to pick up a few more things today to finish it off. Move shipping upstairs. I know. I've thought about it, but I have a whole setup down here of shipping. So for winter, understand? Yes. And this isn't nothing set in stone. We're looking at moving the business. And I keep thinking about the work involved in moving. I was telling my husband earlier, I'm like, I want to buy a house. I want to move, but I don't want to do the work to move. It's like going on vacation. I want to go on vacation. I don't want to do the work to get there, right? Your basement was too cold. I wanted to move it to our garage. I wanted to move shipping to the garage. That way I could back my truck up right to our garage and just put the packages right in. But we live in Pennsylvania. My garage is not insulated. And I thought about this idea in like September. And in September, it was a wonderful idea. And over the last like 6 weeks, I'm like, what in the heck was I thinking? I don't want to go in the garage to grab a new roll of bubble wrap, let alone stand out there for 5 hours shipping stuff or packing stuff. So it was only a good idea in the summertime, not in the wintertime.
So yes, if you're curious about the production tomorrow, come join us tomorrow night.
Yeah, come check it out. We'll see if it works. It'll be fun. And then the week after that, I didn't realize you were oh, are you from Lancaster? We are just south of York, so only about an hour away from Lancaster.
Oh,
So,
that's so cool.
yeah, there is so much good shopping. I don't know if you do Hootie Trudy, if you do vintage or not, but the vintage and antiques around the Lancaster area is unreal. There is so much good stuff up there. So much sourcing. No show, not this show. Tomorrow night I am doing the one I was just talking about. So I'm going to do my vintage decor show tomorrow night. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. is our business and tax. And so normally I do a show every Saturday at 4 o'clock. That's kind of like one of my anchor shows. However, during cheer season, cheer comp, I have a 15-year-old that's a competitive cheerleader. We travel quite a bit, and we're going to be in DC on Saturday and Sunday. So I couldn't do a show on Saturday. I have to do it on Friday night instead. That's why we moved it around. However, I say DC Saturday and Sunday. She has a 2-day comp, but then I overbooked myself because I have 2 raid trains on Sunday and our podcast. So I've had to make other arrangements for somebody to take her on Sunday. Speaking of the podcast, you guys, if you are not familiar with our podcast, first of all, let me talk about the 3 of us that do the podcast. It's me. Here I am. We do the podcast. My husband is the technical genius behind everything we do. And then I Love Discounts. I Love Discounts sells, they used to sell a lot of food and health and beauty. They have moved more into jewelry. So like most of what they do is jewelry. So that is Tony and Lysandra. They also do chat shows on Saturday mornings. And then Green 13, most of you probably know who Jeremy at Green 13 is. He does a lot of jewelry, estates, a few other miscellaneous things here and there. All 3 of us get together on Sunday night on YouTube and we debate topics. We talk about all things reselling. So whether our main focus is whatnot, but we will also talk about other platforms on there. And the fun part about this is we all have very, very, very different backgrounds. And it is a live YouTube show. So you could ask questions in that show and you get 3 different answers. So we may all agree about something, or I may tell you one thing and then Jeremy tells you something different, but you're going to get the best of 3 talk shows all smashed into one. And then it's fun for us to like bounce ideas and topics off of each other. So that has been kind of this labor of love we've all been pouring into lately. And that is every Sunday night. So that's a fun one.
And Forgotten Memories, that's another interesting production because Green 13 is in Lancaster. I Love Discounts is in Kentucky, and we're south of York. So I got to bring them all together.
Yes. You, your wife did comp cheer for 19 years. Oh, so you know the travel, the hurry up and get there and you sit for 10 hours so they can perform for 2 minutes. It's a long day. Are we finally moving? Hold on, wait a second. Are we finally moving Tony and Lysandra into the correct spots?
No, the answer is no. That's too much fun.
It's so funny. So what happened on the YouTube, if you saw that picture, my husband set it up so we have 4 boxes, kind of like, what was that, Hollywood Squares or something? And the way it works behind the scenes is that you get the box based on when you logged in to the show. So whenever we connect into the show is like the order of the boxes. And so then he goes and kind of fixes it on the back end before we go live. So we always log in a good 20 minutes before we even start the show. And so he has to fix the boxes. Well, Tony and Lysandra never know. Like they don't see that screen that you're looking at right now. So they never know which way to look. And they get it mixed up all the time. So Tony will talk to Lysandra and she's over here on the screen, but he's looking this way. It's hilarious. So it's hard for us. Yeah, kind of like the Brady Bunch. It's hard for us doing it because when we're watching that, so like I actually watch that screen. So I am seeing what you're seeing, but there's like a 20-second lag. So I have an iPad here where I see everything in real time. So I see Tony, Lysandra, and Jeremy in real time here. But then I have a TV screen there that has a 20 to 30-second lag. So even myself, like I'll pick this up and I'll take a sip and put it down and watch the screen. And then it shows me taking a sip on the screen. So it's just really like behind the scenes, takes a lot of getting used to. I know it's not the exact same as a newscaster when they do like the local news, but it makes me think that there has to be some similarities, that it's just the whole production part of stuff takes a lot of getting used to. So. Speaking of the Roundtable Show, your OBS messes up, yeah. And then like what you hear right now, do you have music playing? Mm-hmm. So like the music, whatever is playing, when my husband does the graphics, all the sound effects, I don't hear any of that. Now I can talk. He gives me hand signals. So when he's about to play a graphic, I have to be conscious of what he's doing, and he'll give me a hand signal to shut up so I'm not talking over whatever he's putting on the screen. There was one point where the guy with the beard, yes, that's Tony, I love his, was going to kiss his wife on the other screen. Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's fun. And it's fun trying to be like, not talking over each other. So I'm probably the quiet one in the bunch. Surprise, surprise. I don't just sit there and talk the whole time. I'm the quiet one of the group. Jeremy and Tony are natural born speakers, and they can ramble on about anything forever. So we're often like giving them signals to like, be quiet, or so I do. I can't. It's gotten me in trouble way too many times. I have worked professional jobs all my life. So true story. I used to work with a very good friend of mine. We met at work and we became very good friends. And we would sit in business meetings together, and she would text me. She would be like, face, like every time I wasn't controlling my reactions on my face. I've learned to be able to say the right words, but I can't hide it any other way. So that's what's going on. That's what we do on Sunday nights. I know it wasn't. I get red chats saying the same. Do you? Yes. I get red chats. Southern Charm and Lysandra like to red chat me during my shows to make me blush. If you have not noticed, I am more of a kind of a conservative. I've got my wild side, but very just kind of more straight-laced. And so they will red chat me things to see who can make me blush during shows.
Trisha, it's at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
And the live discussion is open. It's pretty much like this one. You can post questions on the chat. So if you have any question, you can go ahead and ask, and you're going to get 3 different points of view.
Mine's always the right one, just saying.
Actually 4.
No, they're good. They're all good people, and just such vast experience. I've listened to Jeremy since, I can't even remember, since we started, like when he was first on, and I have learned so much from him. And I still pinch myself sometimes. I'm like, wow, I get to do this podcast. Like, I feel like I'm like this little guy here, and they're like, there's these big time sellers. So it's humbling and fun, and I am definitely honored to be a part of it. So if there are no more tax questions, I think we are going to wrap it up. My kid is at cheer practice. I do have to pick her up in about 30 minutes.
Go ahead and share your questions.
Yeah, so if you have any last questions, put those in there. I'm going to talk about really quick this Sunday. Southern Charm is in the chat. She is in Battle of the Best. I am in Battle of the Best. Come check us out. We both have our shows posted. We both have our items in there. Southern Charm is bringing a Fenton e-pern. So if you're not sure, if you haven't heard what that is, but it is a Fenton, is like a bowl, and it has 3 horns, And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, Southern Charm, they were used for flowers. So they were used for like floral type arrangements. Pretty sure that's what they were used for. It is a gorgeous Fenton piece, mint condition. I am bringing 2 Delft plaques, 2 blue and white Delft plaques that are late 1800s. It's okay, honey. I'm not going to grab them. They're just too big. They're behind the screen. So that's what's going on. And there are probably 70 other sellers that day. Of course, we're focused on our stuff, but thank you. They're gorgeous plaques. I'm super excited about them. I have never won. This is probably my 5th or 6th time on Battle of the Best. I have never won. I have no hopes of winning, but it's fun. It's good to see we start everything at $1. So not just us, all sellers, we bring a banger. The whole concept of the show, it's 5 minutes. You bring a banger, all out item, and you try to sell it for the most money. Whoever wins that day, whoever's item sells for the most money gets to come back in December, and all of the winners battle it out in December to see who is like the Battle of the Best winner for the whole year. I've never got that far. I've gotten beat by, I bring vintage, I bring glass. One time I brought ephemera. I bring different things like that from the vintage side, but I've been beat by rocks. I say that affectionately. They were crystals. I'm going to say I was beat by a rock. I've been beat by Legos. I think I got beat by a plant one time. So I'm always a little surprised. You never know. You never know what's going to win in Battle of the Best. We shall see. A plant won one time. And I think the plant went for it was a lot of money, like $500-$600 for a plant, which I would probably kill within about a week or two, more than likely. So, crazy sentence out of context. Yeah, Daisy Lane won with turtles. Yeah, it was crazy. The Legos, they're all of the stuff. So we shall see. I am just hoping. If it's not me, I just want something from the vintage decor. I want a true antique decor piece to just take center stage one day. Yeah. Toys, rocks, plants. To the point where the toys, rocks, and plants, and I love CG Boomerang Echo. She runs this train, her and TLC Mama Bear. I run another train with CG Boomerang Echo. This is nothing against the conductors. It just blows my mind. I'm always surprised. I'm like, how did my antique get beat by Legos? I just totally lost my train of thought. I was right mid-sentence, completely just gone. Anyways.
Yeah, she's fire, Southern Charm.
It just blows my mind what wins and what doesn't. I just look at it. I'm like, someday, we'll see. All right, you guys. Obviously, I'm not thinking straight anymore. I'm going to go raid. Thank you for being here. We will be back next Friday at the normal time for this show, a week away. So until then, hopefully we'll see you at one of the upcoming shows. Got your book already. Oh, cool. I'm so happy I'm Monster Mama. All right. Well, we will see everybody tomorrow bright and early at 7 a.m. Let's go find somebody to raid. I love discounts. You know what? Let's go see JJ Shopper. Because we went to I Love Discounts last time.